Hey everybody and welcome back. I am Titan9 and we're returning to what you guys have loved watching so far, Shenlong Slam. This was my answer to the Ryzen aggro decks in the format. As a good way to break the mirror, we've got our breach units, Rick Dom, Shenlong, and both the big one and the little one. Combined with Wufei, we're doing this instead of any of the Char Xeon stuff because we get to trade with our opponents and attack their shields at the same time. That's great in a mirror match. We also have added this kind of little Jigen Federation package from the more focused blue aggro decks where they run Amuro and Sayla. This is the list that was in that other video. A change I'm going to make for today's video is I'm going to try an extra baby Shenlong over the 5 level one. Because there were a lot of times in that last video where I had wished the Shenlong I had in hand, the big one, was the little one because it was level 4. Thus my turn 4 or my 4 resource thing. But that level restriction did matter. I wanted to kind of come out a lot quicker. So we're going to give that a shot. There are a lot of advantages to the bigger Shenlong. The destroy blocker does come up. The breach 4 can matter. The extra defense often does matter, but we still will have 3. Again, the deck ideally just wants to go faster. We have slowed down a little bit to get an edge in the mirror, but I don't want to slow down too much, so I'm going to try 2 and see how that goes there. What are we going to be up against? Well, another deck that's also in its efforts to deal with the aggro menace has gone into another aggro mode itself, red-blue ping. The Sailor version of it. We have played this deck on the channel too. The change I'm going to make today is to change one of these Delta Pluses for gun cannon. I haven't updated my lists here on exburst because I'm just testing them out so far. I know this is a build I'm comfortable with, but I want to see if an extra gun cannon over the Delta Plus can be better. It comes down cheaper. This is really good. This gun cannon is really good into aggro units. Because on turn 3, you can play it and Sayla. You can tap a 2-unit HP enemy, and if, it's a Zawar, great, you can kill it. You've got repair. Will be repair 2, in fact, so you'll get back to 3 HP. But also, you can just attack the enemy units that just attacked you if you're against an aggro deck. So I think that can be better. It can come down a little earlier. It still is a white-based team trait, so it will work with Amuro if necessary. That's why I like Delta Plus. It can work with either Amuro or Sayla. So we're going to give that a shot today. But this deck has tools to fight with aggro. It can trade with its small units. It obviously can ping them out. I'm playing close combat over Battle of Aces. Because of the aggro meta itself, I like the unconditional, deal 2 damage, and it bursts just the same. So that's why I think this will be an interesting matchup to test out. Because this deck theoretically should be able to stop what you're doing and take you out in the longer game. Their top end is a lot better. Obviously, Kshatriya just being a 5/4 alone is fine, but when we pair it basically with any of our pilots, it's going to deal 1 damage to 2 of our units. And then you add Marita on top of that, and ooh boy, no good. And then, of course, Banshee, very dangerous as well. Destroy mode Banshee, to be clear. The one that can attack twice if you got a big trash. And in an aggro mirror, you're going to be trading a lot. So that is likely to happen, and you can really clear a board with this thing if the pings aren't doing that already. So I think that's why it'll be fair. I'm excited to get to play both these decks again. They're really fun, and I will see you guys in the games. Alright, and welcome back. Here at Meditations, we like to do best of 3 here in Wing Table. Quirks can happen in this game. There's a lot of variance, so I just kind of want to make sure that what happened isn't blind luck when I make these videos. Now, I think a lot of people would look at this hand, the Zaku 2 Vanilla, 2 Razels, the Jigen, and a Wufei pilot, and I think they would snap keep it. I think we are still likely to keep it, but let me walk you through why this hand gives me some pause. We are going turn 2, so we will be able to play the Zaku 2, but it will not destroy our opponent's base on the following turn. That I don't like very much. If they ended up being a blue player and they play a Zawar, alright, our 2/2 just can trade with theirs, but they might not even block that because their base is still going to be fine. So our first turn, we play the Zaku 2. Our second turn, we play this Razel. And that's it. We've gone 2 turns and we only have 2 units? The Razel, obviously a great unit. I love this card. But is that letting us be the aggro deck we're meant to be? After that, we can play 2 units because we'll have a second Federation for this Jigen to make it cost 1. But we would have been able to play it even on 4 because of the EX resource. Like, it just feels slow. I know it doesn't look slow, but it is. That being said, we have 2 draws to find either a second level or 1 cost unit for the Zaku 2, or technically the Razel. And if one of those happens to be a Federation unit, that also opens up some doors for the Jigen. So ideally, our best drop would be Gun Tank. We don't care about the ping. We play both of those on turn 1. No, I guess we wouldn't do that anyway because we don't want to use our resource since our units are a little bit higher level than normal. And we gotta make sure we can get out 2 units on turn 1. There are a lot of 1-cost units in the deck. We have 2 more of these Zaku 2s. We have 4 of the better Zaku 2s that get +2 on attack. We obviously have the gun tanks and the GMs. The GMs would also help reduce our Jigen. This is a little risky. I like that the Razels in this particular matchup have a bit of a bigger butt. It's obviously not that much bigger. And also the Jigens are really good at trading with their 2/2s. So we are going to keep it, but it's not the snap keep that I think a lot of aggro players might think. We will not mulligan here. I know the video's already not getting off to an action-packed start, but I think mulligans are super... This is a terrible draw, this 4-3. I'm glad we changed that gun cannon out. Or no, we brought in the gun cannon for that Delta Plus. Your opening hand is so important in an aggro deck because we are seeing less cards than our opponent. And not only that, we want to see less cards. So we need to make sure that they matter. So all we're going to do is play our little Mopey 2/2, and we'll end the turn, and we're hoping to find something pretty cheap. And they've killed it anyway, so that's okay. I'm glad they killed that instead of a good Zaku 2. Well, at least when we get to turn 4, we can Amuro, but I don't think there's going to be a good opportunity for that. So it's not the end of the world. We're going to get to play our 4-3, better against their 2/2s, and then next turn we're going to get to play a Razel and a Jigen. Yeah, see, they vomited out 3 units, but they didn't get any value out of their gun tanks, which has more value against our deck than a lot of other decks. Plus, none of their units can kill our Razel very easily. We did get this Rick-Dom. That'll pair very nicely with our Wufei, but I can't play both of them. I can't play both the Rick-Dom... Like, I want to play 2 units, so I'm not going to Rick-Dom and Wufei. And it's better to play your Rick-Dom first and then Wufei at the next turn to trick your opponent. You don't want them to know this is coming. Also, you might draw a Shenlong and then you'll be glad you didn't waste your Wufei on the Rick-Dom. And waste is too strong of a word, but if you can have a Rick-Dom and a rushed Shenlong Wufei combo, obviously you would rather that. But I want to play 2 units. If I play Rick-Dom, I cannot play the Jigen. But I could play a Rick-Dom and a Razel next turn. But then my Jigen costs 1, my Wufei costs 1. Like, I will have 4 resources next turn, but do I want to use them all now? They are likely to swing out with these units, and my Rick-Dom will get some juicy targets that way. But they also might trade 2 of them into my Razel. If we play the Rick-Dom early... Yeah, level 4. They could Amuro it, which would be not great. And then I will have wished I still had the extra resource. Okay, so if I don't use my resource, next time I have 5 resources. I'm probably just Amuroing anyway. Amuro Gundam and, like, kill everything. So... I don't love that, and I guess I would like to save my Amuro for when they have a big unit that I want to kill in one swing anyway, like a Kshatriya that they've rushed, or their own Amuro. Yes, the Amuro play would make sense, because then their Jin could very easily trade in with my Razel. Okay, the beauty is we don't have to, like, hold on to our EX resource for dear life. I liked it a little more with the way our hand shook out, because a lot of our units cost a lot more than we usually would see in an opening. But sometimes the draws just don't go your way. We were very likely to draw more 1-cost units than to draw all of these level 4 things in a row. the Gundam and the Amuro. So yeah, we play the odds sometimes doesn't work into your favor, and so as an aggro player, you need to also be able to handle situations when the draws don't line up perfectly. And that's why it's important to think these lines through. We know we want to play 2 units, though. I think I want to play these 2 big beefy units. If they want to tap down my Rick-Dom and kill it, it's not the end of the world. Maybe that's the advantage to putting the Chang Wufei on it in a single turn. Because then if they do tap it, because they're only going to take 3 and they're going to repair 2. And that's going to be annoying. They're going to kill my Razel with their Jin, but I'll have another Razel up, and that would finish off the Amuro Gundam because it has 5 HP, and it will repair 3 of them. Alright, maybe it is okay to just put this out naked. There are 3 more Rick-Doms in there, plus 4 Shenlong, so it's not like our Chang's going to go wasted. And we might not even have to rush the Gundam. It's just, I'm probably, if they Amuro, I'm likely to lose this Razel. Right? Then I can't play out my Jigen cheaply next turn. Okay. I'm sure that was not super fun to listen to. We decided just to play the Razel and the Jigen. If they have the Amuro, it's less damage to us. They went aggressive with the Merida on the gun tank. They want to finish off our bases quickly. They went full aggro mode on us. This is okay. Because we're going to get to kill off all their units, and we're only going to lose one of our own. They did have a pretty strong aggro hand. They played another Razel and another Jin. But we at least got a 1-cost unit too. We could also choose to Amuro this turn and get even better trades. Like our Jigen can kill off their gun tank, and our Razels can kill off their other 2 units, and Amuro can even tap down a Jin and kill that and fully repair. I do think we like that. Because they will have a big 4-3 booty that can kill whichever one of my units it wants to, but except for my Amuro Gundam. But I think that's okay. We're gonna rest. Or I killed the Razel, and then I have 3 HP, and they only have the Jin. Maybe that's better. I mean, the Jin still can kill whatever it wants to, except my Amuro. Okay, we are going to trade the Razel, just to save us some trouble down the road. We have had to take the control role, which I know isn't super fun for any aggro deck, but that's why I like the Shenlong build. It has an easier time pivoting to that game plan than most other decks could. If they have a close combat to finish off one of our units, so be it. That's another card out of their hand. They only have 2 left. And I think now's a perfectly fair time to burn the EX resource, because the most expensive thing we have is that level 5 Shenlong, and we would get to play that next turn with the Wufei anyway, so we might as well vomit onto the board as well. And it's just more units if they have ways to kill things. Because they might Kshatriya. Yep. So they're close combating one of my units, as I thought might happen. They're going to gun tank, and if they have a pilot for it, they could have tapped our GM, but we would have, if it had been a Sayla, we wouldn't have been able to trade. Okay. We drew another Wufei, which isn't bad, because we have a Rick-Dom to go with it. We will... Okay, let's see here. Can my Amuro trade with something and live? Yes. My Amuro can kill their Jin, repair the damage. It will still have 2 damage on it, but their gun cannon can't finish it off unless they pilot it. Let's have our GM finish off the base. So they could have a close combat here in the shields. I was going to attack with the Razel anyway, but you want to keep that in mind. Also, opponents may have Battle of Aces in there as well, so that also deals 2 damage. So if you have damage units, try to attack with them in case they burst into one of those damage effects. The good news is I know this deck list. There are only 2 close combats. They've seen them both. So I don't have to worry about them here, but you should be thinking about that when you attack shields. Alright, we're attacking there, and there's nothing, and then our Amuro will finish off this Jin. We're trading here, right? We're the control deck for the time being. Just kill off their units, slow them down. We're going to be able to outmuscle them. They're run out of cards. Even if they draw a Show of Resolve or cast one next turn, they're not going to be able to play too many units. They have a Vassalia space, no big deal. There's the Kshatriya, but no pilot it looks like. They're going to finish off my Gundam, but that gets rid of their gun cannon as well, so no biggie. We have nothing to Rick-Dom, which is a little sad. The Amuro is what's needed to turn this Kshatriya sideways. Well, that's okay, because our Rick-Dom can finish off this Vasalius in one go. We're probably going to lose it to the Kshatriya on the following turn, but at least we will have gotten we've gotten one shield out of the way, and we'll have gotten the Kshatriya out of the way. Even if they pilot it, none of their pilots have more than one toughness, so they definitely will lose out there. Now, again, imagining a world where we don't know how many close combat / Battle of Aces are in their shields, I want to attack with the Razel here. Why is that? Because they are likely to want to use that damage spell on a unit that hasn't attacked yet. So my 2/2 is not as valuable as my 4/3. And if they rather use that to kill the Razel, at least I still get another attack in. Does that make sense? That sequencing makes sense? It'll feel a little bad if that's a base, because we won't have done as much damage to it, but they're not really running that many bases either, so I'd rather just put them in a tough decision-making point there. The more decisions you force your opponent to make, the more likely they are to make a mistake. We're going to play out the Gundam and pass. And as an aggro deck, we kind of force our opponents to have to make many, many decisions. So they're opting to attack the Kshatriya into the GM to have it live. Not the smartest move here, because our Rick-Dom can just kill it and finish it off anyway, and get a shield down too. Maybe that's what they want me to do. They only have 2 shields left anyway. I'm going to attack with the Razel first, again, because of that 2 damage, but also because if there is a base, my Rick-Dom can finish it off, and then Gundam can win the game. If there isn't a base, then I will use my Rick-Dom to kill off this Kshatriya. I wish our GM weren't a terrible draw, but I have no cards in their hand, and our Wufei can really run over the game if ever we find the right unit to go with it. Razel goes first. And now we will Rick-Dom into their Kshatriya to get that breach go off. And they got a pilot, but that doesn't matter, because OG Gundam winning the day. Okay. So we had a slower start than I like from an aggro deck, and they had a quicker start. Not quicker, that's the deck sort of designed to have starts like that. But the good news was it meant they didn't have a lot of their top end to take advantage of our lower start. And we had better units than they did, so we were able to make better trades, as you saw. And then we still got to have the wide board, and they didn't. We didn't get to see Wufei Rick-Dom do their magic, but it's good that we weren't put in a position where we needed to do that to win the game. We took the control role because we had to, and it paid off. That's why I like the Shenlong version of the aggro deck. It is a little more flexible than the more standard unit. Let's go to game 2. All right, we're going first this time. This hand this hand's not so bad. On our turn 2, we can play multiple Zakus. We don't run DOP here, so we don't have anything on turn 1 anyway. Our 2 Zaku 2s can get through their base. If you don't know what your opponent is on, they could play a Lefith. That's something you have to keep in mind, but we have a lot of chances to find another 1-cost Razel Federation unit to work with our Razel and our Jigen. We have a baby Shenlong, which we can play pretty reasonably. Our 2/2s can trade well with their 2/2s. Our Razel obviously very good against a lot of what their deck has, and our Jigen can survive trades as well. So we will keep this hand. I do wish this was one of the other Zaku 2s, but you're not always going to find them. There's only 4 in the deck. No mulligans. Alright, there's another Razel, which doesn't help speed up our Jigen, but is a fine draw. Hopefully a Zaku 1 comes our way, or a gun tank even. Would be good. They play a GM and a gun tank. Aha! There it is. So I'm going to play 1 Zaku 2 and this GM, because then next turn we play the Razel and the Jigen. and our board looks pretty great against theirs. Plus, our 2/2/2s can finish off their base too. They're going to finish off ours, but what are you going to do? We can do this sort of trading thing and keep even, and then eventually our Shenlong and our bigger units can kind of clean off the board. Hopefully we get them off before the opponent gets to their top end. They did use their EX resource on turn 1 to take out my base. A reasonable choice on their part, just means that they're slowed down a bit, and now we have a bit of an advantage on our end because we can play our bigger things first, and we can play out more units earlier than they can. But quickly, we're going to finish off here. We could call this greedy. We could just sort of simply trade with their units and be done with it now. But our hand's looking to explode, and we're going to get to do it quicker than they do. So I don't mind trying to race them. Plus, if we do get in a position to trade, the units coming up do a much better job, like this Razel and this Jigen. And if they vomit out 3 units this turn, we'll change to control mode. But right now, we even get a base to slow them down. And a Wufei to go with our Shenlong. Like, things are just looking good for us here. They're going to do their favorable trade by putting the Sayla on a GM. They have that control mindset now, particularly because of our 0-5 base. Sadly, our gun tank won't get to finish off that GM because of the Sayla Repair 1. Not the end of the world. Because our Wufei is going to be able to do that just fine, and if they want to Razel trade into it next turn, no big deal. If this were the big Shenlong, it would have that extra toughness, and the Razel wouldn't be able to kill it, but we wouldn't get to play it this turn anyway. But then again, maybe 2 Razels is handling that just fine. But we're going to attack with 4 units, kill off one of theirs. They have to get through this big base. That actually might be greedy, because we can play 3 units this turn, right? And we'll have attack with 3, and it might be better to save the rush for when they're not expecting it, or if we have to get through a big base. Yeah, so let's attack first with our... So now, if we burst into one of those close combats, the only thing it can kill is the GM, so we're going to attack with that first. Make sure our GM gets an attack in. Okay, and now the Jigen. Okay, they do have a base, and it's one that's going to make their units more powerful. So But then we don't get the value off of the breach from the Shenlong, which feels unfortunate. Okay, if we could only play 2 units this turn, the Shenlong Wufei would be a pretty good alternative here. But because we can play 3, we can overwhelm them next turn and have the Shenlong ready to go to polish things off later on. So I am instead going to use this Razel to kill their gun tank. Take them off one thing. They can Amuro next turn to attack one of our attackers, but the GM's gonna die into anything, particularly since this gun tank is going to deal damage to it. The Razel will probably live, because there are plenty of units for it to attack where it won't die. The Amuro likely... The Amuro, I guess, would... Yeah, I'm not going to speculate too much on what the opponent's going to play. We're going to have a pretty wide board. And our worst case scenario, our Shenlong can just kill off that Vesalius with no big issue. Yep, that's the trade I thought. The GM into the Razel. No big deal. Oh, interesting. The Amuro... Where did all their... They wanted to get rid... They opted to get rid of the base instead. They unnecessarily tapped the Vesalius to make it powerful. What did they play? Oh, they played Show of Resolve there to look for something to do to deal with our board. Show of Resolve, the version I play with the Sayla, I don't play a lot of Show of Resolves. It's 2, maybe 3, because I don't want to see it this early in the game. Look, that took up their whole turn. I was there. I sort of was talking, so wasn't paying attention to the Show of Resolve coming down, but was looking and go, all right, their resources are all gone. What do they play? Their board's empty. Like, it doesn't matter to us. They might be hoping, like, all right, it's going to take them 2 attacks to get rid of this Vesalius, but so what? And look, I can even big Shenlong. It doesn't help me here. I could also just Shenlong and Razel as well. Big Shenlong would die if I attack that Razel, and it's only breach 4. So here's what I'm thinking. It might be okay. Well, I don't think there's a world where I'm going to kill this Razel. I think, unless there's multiple bases beyond just... There's the Versailles, obviously, and I think even if there's one base hiding in the shields, we're still going to win. So I'm just, like, delaying whenever I play this Wufei. I'm going to attack with the Razel first, just to keep options open. Because I still have 3 units to clear out all of these shields. If there's no base in there, then we just rush with our Wufei. There could be a particular issue here if our GM hits a close combat. Then we're going to lose our Zaku, and now we're an attacker down. But then, it would be good to play the Shenlong, attack this Razel, and breach with that. And they're not going to be able to get rid of all these units the following turn. Alright, so GM, no close combat, no close combat, no close combat. Okay, then we should be fine from here. Even if one of those is a shield. Okay, if this last one's a shield, the Wufei obviously won't take it down. But we can do some damage to it with a breach. It won't matter. Alright, we'll let the big beefy one. Big beefy Shenlong comes in to win the day. Attack my opponent. And we've done it. And look, let's see what was in the hand. Another base. A Zela, a Merida. So we didn't even let them get to level 5. That was how quick we got to be by prioritizing playing multiple units on a turn, by prioritizing going aggressive. If they had a lot more units than we did, or our units were kind of the same size as theirs, or they were the one with the base and we weren't, then we have to think about playing the control role. But if we're kind of the same on board, with equal number of bases, or shields, or units, since we got to go first, it was better to just keep attacking and make them react to us. Make them trade with our units, because they are worse at trading than we are. They can finish them off with their pingers, you know, that's okay, but we get to breach. When we trade with them, we breach. So if we get put in that position to trade, that we have to trade with them, we still get to attack their shields and be aggressive in that process. And we knew we had the Wufei and the Shenlong in hand to do that. They do not. That's our flexibility, right? We attack. If they need to trade with us, no problem. We just keep playing small units. If we need to trade with them, no problem. We got breachers. So that's the way to think of it. Does this make sense? That was kind of a quick, easy win for them. So hopefully you got enough material out there to help you as you play your aggro decks. A lot of these principles apply to whether you're playing One Year War or Federation as well. It's just kind of the aggro mindset that you need to have here. So I hope that was all very helpful, and I hope you enjoy playing whatever deck you're playing, aggro or otherwise. Take care, everybody.